Hello, I'd like to talk to you about the first two books in the encrypted urban fantasy series by American author Shauna Maguire. This is a world where monsters are real, like the monsters of myth and speculation, like Sasquatch, Gorgons, various creatures, lizard dudes, dragon girls, cuckoos, which we'll get to. Are real, and much more. A lot of any culture that has various kind of mythic magical creatures. These will seem to come up in this book. Now, this is a world where there is the order of the Covenant of St. George, an order kind of quasi-religious, which has made its mission to wipe out all of these monsters. However, that is not the protagonists of these books. In these books, it is a schism from this group where they realized, hey, wait a minute, there's a lot of these fantasy monsters who are just animals, and exterminating them is, they're just trying to survive in the ecosystem. And indeed, I think they talk about unicorns having a very important part in maintaining the water table in some of the ecologies that they've grown up in. They're important little parts of the ecosystem, is much the way that you could look at wolves that got hunted to extinction in Europe as important parts of that ecosystem. And by killing them, you're doing a great disservice. Now, the key thing that maybe differentiates this from just simply ecology is that a lot of these monsters are actually sentient beings who not necessarily have bad ill intentions towards humans. They're branded as monsters because they're different, but actually would just be happy getting along and wouldn't actually be a threat to human beings, if not for human beings coming after them. Now, there are some creatures that they do kind of classify as, okay, these are the kind of creatures that are just going to keep on hunting human beings and killing them. So maybe they need to get done. Now, yes. So the main character in this book, Verity Price, her family a couple of generations ago actually decided, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Over in the new world, the Covenant is very much more a European deal. Very much coded as kind of Catholic Church, very zealous, raising people from youth, indoctrinating them. Whereas so the Price family has split away from this. As a result, they were branded as heretics and should be hunted down and killed. And it is only because that it's the Healy's and then the Price family were able to kind of fake their own deaths that they've been left alone for such a long time. And now the current generation of Price children, of which Verity is one, there's Alex, and there is Timony. Oh God, we haven't gotten to her yet, so I haven't bothered looking into her name. Are all living under aliases in various places to try and keep under the Covenant's radar. Verity has probably got the most stable life because, unlike her siblings, what her passion is at the moment is she wants to become a professional ballroom dancer. And a lot of the skills and athleticism that you might need to be a cryptologist, not a monster hunter, but someone who is studied cryptology. So yeah, cryptologist, studying monsters, these mythical creatures, these magical creatures. You need a lot of physical skills and weapons training, as well as various other skills. So it's sort of like it is where she developed a lot of her skills, and she kind of has a passion for ballet dancing. Now, she's come to New York to have a year to try and see if she can pursue her dreams. Her family is very much like, This is the family business. You had to have these skills anyways. And I mean, she does enjoy doing it. She's very much kind of slightly kind of superheroish, and she likes free running across the rooftops of New York, throwing herself into the abyss, using gravity to be able to kind of to fall. She's not somebody who has supernatural powers. It's very much kind of like a Batman deal of smarts and highly trained body. Now, of course, because this is maybe an urban fantasy book, what happens? But a hunky Covenant fellow named Dominic DeLuca arrives in the situation. It arrives in New York, and things get complicated. There is perhaps romance, and this is all in the first book, where there. I think the first book is sort of the first book, Dscnt Armageddon, is a lot of very much it suffers from the thing of being set up. It doesn't particularly have a strong antagonist because Dominic, while the book doesn't do a really great job of, because he goes from being like, a new field agent for the Covenant, has been indoctrinated all his life. And it's not a very hard switch that I guess he takes one look at Verity and decides, okay, it pretty much looks like he's going to switch sides, and that there's not a lot of that. If that was supposed to be the big tension in the book, it doesn't really deliver, because you kind of know where that kind of that romance angle is going for the first book. So that I found it was a bit weaker, but I enjoyed the tone. It's very snarky. This very much has Seanan McGuire's kind of a quirky tone to it. Verity herself is very much a snarky, flippant character. I have made pass to other narrators in the book, and they have different tones, which is good. It's not just all that. It's in the second book, Mdnght Bl Lght Spcl, that the Covenant really comes in, and we get some quite good actions, good adventure, conflict action in that book. If there's something I'd say about Seanan McGuire, that might have to do with this series. This series is very much more a action adventure fantasy series. The characterization is not particularly deep. The motivations of the characters can be I find a little bit scant at time, but there's so much other stuff happening, especially in the second book, where there's one scene in the second book where Verity gets captured and the chips are really down, and I found there's a sequence in there in a warehouse which was like, okay, yeah, this is where I want the series. I would like the series to be. It's like okay, this is great action in there. It does have a couple of. The second book has a section where Sarah, who is a cousin by adoption of Verity's, gets to take center stage. She is what's called a cuckoo. Kind of in vernacular terms, where she looks like a human being, has no nervous system, has basically antifreeze for blood, and is an extremely strong telepath. I think evolved from Wasp, actually, and is considered one of the more dangerous cryptids in this world. She's got such kind of natural defenses that you can't remember her once she's kind of left you. She just blends in. She also has enough power that she can basically make you do anything she wants. She can insert herself into your memories, make you think she's a long lost love or long lost sister or something like that, and you would do anything to protect her or do anything she asked. So I don't know if the book because of the particulars of Sarah herself, Sarah is distinct from other cuckoos in this world. The other cuckoos in this world seem to be are sociopathic and incredibly violent and dangerous and ruthless and murderous. Which kind of makes me think of sort of, there's a series by, I think it's Spider Robinson, I think it was called Very Bad Things, which envisions a world with human beings who have telepathic powers, and kind of exactly how frightening and ruthless and terrible they are. There's a couple of books, actually kind of 70s books that have where telepaths were a big thing, where they were like scary dudes. This is not so much with Sarah. Sarah actually ends up doing something by the end of this book, which really messes her up. And I was semi kind of disappointed in it, like, oh, we're not going to follow her. I know the next book in the series is called Half Off Ragnarok, which is following Alex, one of the other Price siblings, who we only hear from in a telephone conversation in the first two books. But actually turns out that he ends up having encounters with kind of Sarah post those books, and I'm getting a little bit of an itch, and I actually looked forward in the series, and it's like, okay, if I stuck with it to all the way to later in the series, Sarah does show up again. This is very much, it seems to be a book where it's not going to be, Verity isn't the main protagonist of the series. It's the Price family in general there's multiple protagonists in this world, which is good because, as I said, it's like we're not getting really deep into kind of character studies or stuff with these characters. There's fairly simple arcs, it seems, so far with this series. The Verity, it's like, oh, I have a kind of a dream to be a professional ballroom dancer. How do I balance that with kind of the demands of the family business? That's about as far as we seem to be going. Half Off Ragnarok, there seems to be a thing of like Alex is changing his identity all the time, and so he's having trouble making kind of lasting connections with, potential love partners. So how is that gonna work out for him? That's just the very, very, it's like the first 10% of that book that I've gotten into. I'm not reviewing that one there. So yeah, this is a fun series. It's good light reading with lots of kind of mythological creatures made real. Definitely effort to kind of think about this in kind of an ecosystem. I mean, as long as you don't think too much about it. I think the whole, there's multiple sentient beings that have existed in the earth for all these years, and it's never come out as a public thing. It's that whole thing of urban fantasy where it's like there's the fantasy world that nobody in the real world knows about, especially now in an age of cell phones. You think that would have kind of blown up pretty good even by 2012. I think the cell phone was going, but even before that, just the idea of there's all this hidden stuff that we somehow wouldn't react. You don't think about that too much because you get cool creatures and fun action is what you're looking for. So yeah, that is the first two books in the Encrypted series, Dscnt Armageddon and the Mdnght Bl Lght Spcl. And I've gone right on to Half Off Ragnarok and read that one, and probably because there's this one, and I looked ahead and I know that the next one also has Alex in it. So I have a feeling that this is sort of told in 2-book chunks. So I will most likely, I've read the first 2 books. I'm probably going to then go on and read, Half Off Ragnarok and whatever the next book is in the series to kind of finish off the Alex thing. And then I'll see if I feel like more urban fantasy, or if most likely I'll wander off and do something else and then just come back to this series when I feel like it. Yeah. All right. More videos later.